because you got to give it to Mr. Francisco Lindor. The Mets fans, Mets front office, Francisco's family, himself has to be excited about how good he looked in this series. I'll repeat what you said earlier. 5 for 11, 2 doubles, a triple, 2 home runs, and 9 RBI. That is spectacular. He did it from both sides of the plate. He did it in a manner to where he's driving the ball. He had that huge triple batting left-handed that went down the third baseline. It wasn't like his hits early in the season left-handed that went to the left side were like he's out front and they blooped it over. He drove that ball from a submariner, a really good one in Tyler Rogers. He drove that down that left field line. He's got a really good approach. His swing has been really well timed. He's not getting too long. He's not trying to do too much. He stayed within himself, and it was spectacular. So excited for Francisco, because when he go, we go. Very good.
There are 3 players in the National League with 200 plate appearances or more. 2 of them play for the New York Mets, and one of them is named Francisco Lindor. He's also going to get my apple. There were a ton of great performances. Yeah, but it's hard not to pick him, especially because
Let's give him another round of applause. He deserves it.
Let's give him
another round of applause.
Jack had the trigger finger on the
he was ready.
He wasn't sure. He wasn't sure.
He just kept talking and didn't give me time to do it.
Sorry,
Even
Jack.
in his Giants hat, he was ready.
He was ready. We've been waiting for this kind of performance from Lindor. Obviously, we've seen some great games from him this season, but he was the backbone of this offense and this comeback during the series. I'm just going to read off some ranks among MLB shortstops because there's been a lot of talk about where he places
Major League
among
Baseball shortstops.
All 30 teams.
All 30 teams.
Yep.
This is where Lindor ranks.
Nobody has scored more runs in MLB for a shortstop than Francisco Lindor with 31 runs. He's second in home runs, RBI, and walk percentage at 8 home runs, 33 RBI, and a 10.2 mark. He's fourth in Fangraphs WAR at 1.6, and he's fifth in WRC Plus, which is essentially OPS Plus, at 126, 26% better than league average. He is a top 5 shortstop in every major metric in MLB right now among shortstops. It's really nice to see. It's the exact production you want out of a guy like Lindor, and it's a shame that we couldn't get a series win in what is essentially his best series of the year so far. I'm not worried personally about Lindor. I never have been this entire season, and I think there is something to say about a guy that goes out there every single game of the season and is in that lineup every single day, because that's exactly what he's done. He's DH'd, I think, a couple games, but he's out there at the toughest position to play in the field besides maybe catcher, and he's doing it at an above average rate every day. And I'm very appreciative to have Francisco Lindor on my baseball team.
Me too. That's well said.
Thank you.
I think the other guy that you talked about that has the most at-bats is Pete Alonso.
Yeah.
Having him slated in the cleanup spot every single day makes Buck Showalter his job so much easier.
Yeah.
And then having Francisco Lindor, lined up at shortstop because he is a plus defender. And then his offensive production has been stellar as well. I think we're seeing him be himself. To have those guys penciled in at 3-4 and then to be able to move every piece around them, and Nimmo at the top, but you got to give him more days off because of durability issues. Marte, whatever the case may be, is older. Escobar, Guillorme, all those guys behind him, because of how good Lindor has been at shortstop, batting third, and Pete Alonso first in DH, batting fourth. It makes this lineup so good, and to have 2 superstars of your lineup, the 2 best guys that you need to rely on in there every day. Holy crap. I know there's 29 other teams that would love to have one guy do it, let alone 2.
Yeah, I really liked what you guys were talking about on Talking Baseball when you went on the show on Wednesday about how Pete has batted in the same spot the entire season, and that these are 2 guys that have played in more games than pretty much any tandem in MLB. We talked a lot about, how sorely missed DeGrom is on this team and how sorely missed Scherzer is in the past week or so. I do genuinely believe that the Mets might be in a much worse spot if, say, they had those pitchers, but maybe not Lindor and Alonso, because they've provided this lineup so much stability, and we've seen so many great comebacks and so much cohesiveness from this lineup that I do think would be lost without the 3 and 4 hitters out there every single day, producing every single day. I mean, a lot of people talk smack about RBI as a stat. I still think it's pretty important because it means you're getting hits in spots when you need them. And these are two guys that are in the top 5 of MLB in RBI. They're getting it done every day and getting hits in spots where you absolutely need them to make these comebacks. And it won't go appreciated until the Mets are in a solidified, successful spot at the end of the season. But these two are having seasons where they're going to get MVP votes.
Yeah, man, it's wonderful. I think you stated it. A lot of people dog RBI because it's a lot of opportunity based because you can't create your own RBI opportunities like that. But they're there.
Yeah.
And when you have them, these guys are coming through. Even when Lindor wasn't crushing the ball, when he had an RBI opportunity, he was producing.
Yes.
Going the other way, hitting a sac fly, whatever he needed to do. And that's kind of been everybody in this lineup has done the little things to make sure when they have an advantaged opportunity, a runner on third, less than 2 outs, runners in scoring position. If they need to get them over, they'll get them over. If they need to drive them in, they'll drive them in. I think we've seen the heart and soul and identity of this team from day one. And it's Buck Showalter. It's the veteran leadership on this team, Max Scherzer, Lindor, Escobar. These guys are an awesome team. And without, the last couple of years, the identity of the New York Mets has been in jeopardy for who are these? Who is this team? Who is this talented roster? What type of team are they? Post All-Star break, we're trying to figure out who these guys are.
Yeah.
From day one, this team has played exactly like this, which is incredible. The fight that they have, they're never done. They never give it in. You always feel like they're going to play, and they play hard. And Jeff McNeil's sliding catch into the wall after the starting pitcher, gets absolutely shelled after a heartbreaker of a game in the night before, to come out there to put yourself on the line. That is who these guys are. That's everything you ask for. And without Lindor in the middle and Alonso batting cleanup, you don't have this kind of team.
I really loved everything you said there. It was a 9-1 game. He could have got injured. It was inconsequential in the grand scheme of things, and he still went out there and made that catch. I loved what you said about identity. We had a core from 2019 that really showed some promise and kind of fizzled out toward the end, and we held true to that core for a few years, hoping that they could recapture that magic. It was tough to move on. It was tough to say goodbye to a player like Michael Conforto and move on. But this new brand of Mets baseball is it's to die for. I love watching this team play every day. That's the main thing I said to Jimmy the other day when he asked me what's different about the team this year, is that they're fun to watch. They have yet to frustrate me in an unbearable way like they used to all the time. So it's really cool, and the two faces of that so far have been Lindor and Alonso, which is exactly what this front office wanted. That's exactly what they envisioned for this team going forward. That's the long-winded way of saying Francisco Lindor gets the apple of our eye. There you go.
Absolutely.